Hey folks, this is Hassan Abdullah, the founder of Higher Basis, and I'm preparing this video to give you some guidance on how you can perform as well as possible on the skills test, the English and critical reasoning skills test on our website. So without further delay, let's get started. As you can see, we have 5 different types of questions, but really there's only 3 categories of questions. Type A consists of short reading comprehension passages. And then type B and C are pretty much the same. They're just at different levels of difficulty. And likewise, type D and type E are similar types of questions, but at different levels of difficulty. Type B and type C questions involve selecting the right word to fill in the blank in particular sentences. So basically what this tests is your English vocabulary and your English grammar. And then we take it up another level with type D and E. These are critical reasoning questions where you're being tested on how well you can understand analogies. And there is a mental approach to doing well on these questions, and I'll be going over that in this video. So starting off with the first type, type A, basic English short reading comprehension questions. So what you have is a passage on top, a question, and 3 answers. Just understand that you're trying to figure out which of these answers is pretty much just repeating the same thing that was said in the above passage. Again, the key word is one of these answers is just saying the same thing that is being said in the above passage, just in a different way. So you have the message, which is from HR to staff. Please remember that your manager must verbally agree to any paid time off before you complete a request form. So the question is, why is the HR department sending this email? What is the above message saying? Is it explaining how something is done? Is it asking staff for more information? Or is it telling managers about a problem? Well, look, there's no problem here, right? You can just look at the passage. There's no problem being mentioned. It's also not asking for any information. So by process of elimination, and also if you just think about it and look at the answer, is it to explain how something is done? Yes. It's explaining to you that you just need to tell your manager that you have to verbally agree, they have to verbally agree to any paid time off. So it's just telling you how something is done. Now we're moving on to the fill in the blank type of question. And the answer is highlighted here. The question is, even though the accused didn't blank out his threat, the victim was left terrified. So it's just testing your grammar, and it's really hard to explain a specific approach here. Just basically read the passage and think to yourself which of these words fits best. And so what I would suggest is if you're having difficulty with these type of questions, to just become more practiced in English. You can watch programs, movies, have conversations with people in English, and the answers become very obvious the more in touch you are with the English language. So here, it's even though the accused didn't carry out his threat. It's not didn't succeed out his threat. That's totally wrong grammar. Make out his threat. That's not correct either. Gone out threat. That's also wrong. So here's another type of question, but it's a little bit more difficult. That old house hasn't been lived in for nearly 30 years, hence the fact that it looks so what? Rotten? No. Trashed? No. Now, where people might get confused is derelict or decrepit. Now, derelict, the very definition of derelict means neglected, unused, and through disuse, things start to look a little bit old and worn out. So that's basically why the correct answer is derelict. So this is kind of a vocabulary test more so than grammar. And so some people just don't have the depth of vocabulary. And so sometimes they may have some difficulty with some of these questions. But again, this is just about your familiarity with the English language. So in order to perform better on these type of questions, it just is more of a matter of your exposure to the English language. All right, and these are kind of fun questions, the analogies. So brush is to painter as what is to what? So the best way to answer these questions is think of a sentence that follows the statement. So brushes are to painter, and then reword that into a sentence and say, painters use brushes, and then take that same sentence structure and apply it to each of the answers, and whichever is correct, sounds correct, is the right answer. So painters use brushes. Does paper use pencil? No. Does arrow use archer? No, archer uses an arrow. But a sculptor uses a chisel. So the answer is chisel is to sculptor. And now we go to the final type of question. It's again an analogy question, but the difficulty level is raised up a little bit higher. So the question is, topaz is to yellow as, and there's also 4 answers, making it a little bit harder because there's more variety in options and less room for guesswork. So what is the answer? Well, again, create a sentence out of this and say, we know that topaz can be yellow, but it's not always a yellow color gem. So the way you can say this is, topaz is a topaz can sometimes be yellow. So then you look at the answers. Can a lime sometimes be a lemon? No. Can a diamond sometimes sparkle? Well, I guess you could kind of argue that, but it's kind of synonymous that diamonds sparkle. So the best answer, okay, what about emerald is to green? Are emeralds sometimes green? No, emeralds are generally always green. But dogs are sometimes brown, but not always brown. Therefore, the correct answer is dog is to brown. Topaz is to yellow as dog is to brown. And here you can see our English and critical reasoning test scale. If you're scoring just below the junior college level grad level, which is at the 55th to 70th percentile range, you would basically be just marginally fluent. But those who score between the 55th and 70th percentile, who are within the junior college level grad range, are reasonably fluent and should be able to communicate effectively. Those who score within the 70th to 85th percentile, it's basically the equivalent of a college graduate in the United States or the United Kingdom or any English-speaking country. So it's a very good level of English fluency, and you should be able to handle a variety of tasks where you would need to use business level English, and this is synonymous with C1 or C2 level English. And if you're above and beyond and you're able to score in the 85th to the 99th percentile, that would put you at the honors grad level. And if you're able to get a raw score of 24 or 25, near perfect or perfect, it would be putting you within the top 5% of the population of an English-speaking country. This definitely provides useful information to employers so that they can quickly assess what your level of English fluency is and your critical thinking skills.